Light Mart. I have no idea what that is. Never heard of it before. But this is a box of high pressure sodium wall packs. I purchased these months ago. Eric told me about them. It was a very, very, very rare case where they were selling for pretty cheap on e-RipOff. I think they were like, I want to say $10 a fixture, and shipping. I believe I bought 10 of them, and I think shipping was like 120 for the whole lot, which is super cheap considering how expensive these are. So all in all, it came out costing less than one bulb per fixture, which includes the bulb, which is why I bought them. If they didn't include the bulbs, I don't think I would have bought them. But we have to start stocking these bulbs because it's just a matter of time before they disappear and become unavailable. I'm not sure why that's going to happen. There's two theorems that I think are going to be the case. The first one, and probably more likely, is that once all this lumens per watt efficiency regulation stuff is pushed as far as it can do without there being, pretty serious pushback and outrage, the next thing that it's going to, the next way the lighting stuff is going to be attacked is mercury content, and anything with mercury content is probably going to get canceled. Which I see both sides of it. I get that mercury is toxic and it's a health hazard, but on the other hand, we're talking about bulbs that last a decade plus, and it's such a trace amount of mercury, it's almost negligible. So whatever, that's a whole different story. So let's take a look at these. I'm just going to open one, we'll test one, and see how it works. These fixtures are probably junk, but like I said, I was mostly interested in the bulbs. As of now, the bulbs can still be purchased. The Home Depot has 70 watts, 100 watts, 150 watts, and maybe 250 watts of high pressure sodium, and they also have a handful of mercury vapor, which is interesting. I'm pretty sure those are banned, and metal halide. But as much as I appreciate them being there, there's no beating around the bush that they're not exactly affordable, because I think the 70 watts starts at $23 per bulb, which is no beating around the bush. That's a lot of money. But on the other hand, it lasts a very long time. So is it a lot of money spread over the usage of the bulb? Probably not. But I have bought one just kind of out of curiosity, because I just wanted the experience of going to the store and buying one while I still could. I bought this one, which is now in the fixture above the deck, and I forget how much it cost, but it lasts 24,000 hours. I mean, it's a lot of light. Anyways, here we go. This is they're calling it a mini wall pack, but I don't think it's that small. Do I have a full-size one right here? Oh, I think I do. Hold up. I've got another one from a different brand. I think this one might be a Lithonia Lighting. I've got a Lithonia Lighting one here, which I really need to put this away for the safekeeping. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't really seem like it's small. Seems like it's about the same size. So I would call this a regular wall pack, as opposed to well, okay, never mind. There was something else I thought was but it's not. Is that it there? No. I don't know where it is. Whatever. Anyways, mini wall pack, that's the standard size. I now know where all of my power cords are, so we can go ahead and hook this up without any frustration, or well, that might not be true, but without any frustration of trying to find out where the stinking power cord is. So it looks like they came in multiple different configuration. This one is high pressure sodium at 70 watts. Looks like they also had 150 watts, as well as 208, 227 volts. And they also looks like they have metal halide in 100 and 175 watts, also in 240 and 40 volt configurations. Or no, this is the volts can be for either one, and then the wattages and the types are up top. So they don't come with a photographic cell, which is kind of dumb, but for the price it's hard to complain. At least the backing is metal. You know what? This could be a great light, and it was just sold for cheap. I don't know. There's no brand. I don't know what Light Mart is, so not really sure what to expect. From the outside, metal on the back. It's the pretty sturdy plastic on the front. It seems pretty comparable to this other one I have by Lithonia Lighting. In fact, the Lithonia Lighting one looks a little bit cheaper on the back, because that's just like some shoddy alloy, and this is at least painted with a reasonably nice finish and a rubber gasket here, so you could screw this right to a box, whereas this you have to add a gasket and then do the punch out thing. This is, so far I like this one a lot better. So typically these open from the front. They got two screws on the side there, which this one does appear to have. On the inside of this, there is the allocations for a photo cell, as is here, so we could install one. It's perfectly compatible. There is a rubber gasket, or it's not rubber, it's like a foam, but it is. There is a gasket there. The bulb was already screwed in, which is kind of interesting. It's a high pressure sodium Aerolux bulb. Oh, it's made in China! Made in China! And it looks like the box was cut or something. It's kind of weird. If a lamp bulb support is used, be sure to insulate the support electrically so as to avoid possible decomposition of the bulb glass. If the outer bulb is broken, turn off the lamp and replace it promptly. Do not scratch the bulb or subject it to pressure, as it could fail violently. Isn't it high pressure already? Protect lamp base, socket, and wiring against moisture, corrosive atmospheres, and excessive heat. So it's definitely a Chinglish bulb, for sure. Chinglish and Spanglish. So this is the model number is HPS70W, and the UL listing, which looks like a legitimate sticker, is from 2008. So these are very old stock, and that probably explains why these are cheap. And chances are in 2008 these were still being built with some degree of quality. So that says 2.1 amps, so it's probably a very poor power factor. Whereas this one here is only 1.6 amps, so it probably is a very poor power factor ballast. That doesn't intrinsically mean it's a piece of junk, but it's not offering a lot of promise. Aerolux high pressure sodium 70 watts. It's E26 base. Yeah, I like the design of this case a lot better, because you can run your supply right into here and make your connections behind here. So this could screw directly to the building. You don't even need a box. Very curious to see what that is. Okay, so we have it's a pretty simple design. Everything is pretty clean. Those are on there all the way. Yeah, it's not bad. So everything is tied down. That's what that is. That's holding the igniter down. The igniter is I'll take a look at the information here. For 35 to 150 watts. High pressure sodium, high intensity discharge, R/ballast, 2 feet max lamp distance. The ballast were nowhere near there. 105 degrees max temperature, we should be well below that. So there's no capacitor in here, which is why the power factor is going to be so bad. So it's not necessarily a bad ballast, it's just not a high power factor ballast, which in the residential application doesn't really matter, because I believe most residential electric meters charge by watts, not amps. So it shouldn't matter really in a residential use case. In a commercial use case, if you have a lot of poor power factor stuff, sometimes that can be an issue, but not so much in a non-commercial. Alright, so everything seems pretty copacetic here. Let's just grab the information on the ballast, which is tied down in kind of a weird way, but it works. The brand is Aerolux, which is the same brand as the bulb. Yeah, see right there? High power factor with 28 microfarad capacitor, only 1.3 amps as opposed to no power factor without capacitor is 2.1 amps. So interesting. I wonder if you could add a capacitor on there and make it run high power factor. It does have a schematic there, which is kind of neat. It seems like a reasonably well-made transformer. The whole thing is glazed pretty well. I never heard of Aerolux before. It's got some weight to it. I don't know. You know, it doesn't seem like a bad fixture. like that everything's at least tethered down. You know, some of these cheaper fixtures, the stuff just floats inside of it, and that I don't like at all. Yeah, this is pretty clean. Not a lot of excessive wires in there. Easy to service. I don't know. I kind of like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and unscrew this from the back so we can push the wires through. I really like that. This is a much better design. It's even got a little gasket on there if you weren't to use it. This is a much better design than that of the fixture. What is the age of this other fixture? Is it heavier? No, it's about the same. This one has a copyright of 2013 on the UL sticker. It doesn't seem to have a date code on it though. This might be a much more recent make. This was when it's Acuity brands. So I think this one is a fairly recent make. I remember buying that new a couple years back when I did the setup at the old location. So that might not be that old. So for the video, I'm just going to feed the wires out like this, and we can connect it to a cord. We'll use this cord. This is not what these strippers are for, which is why they're not working. I was just curious if it would work or not. Ultimately, it did not work. But it was worth trying because now I know. And if I didn't try, I would have never known. Well, actually that wasn't a total fail. Now the wires are stripped. Okay. There's two minarets over here, which I will steal for this project. And in this case, the side with the writing on it is the high side. Which would be this one. I don't know. I actually don't know. I guess the red is the high side. It's kind of weird. There is no directions with this thing, so it's anybody's guess. Well, okay. Okay, now that the wires is connected, I'll replace the bulb. These in a couple turns so they don't go flying as I move the fixture around. I don't have to worry about playing with the photo cell or anything. It'll turn on in broad daylight here. Alright, right now we're looking at 118.2 the volts, and we're live. Pulling 1.89 amps. It's a very bluish color right now as the mercury is burning off. Ah, mercury! Ah! And soon it will start to turn orange as the sodium begins to burn. There it goes, the sodium just ignited. And now it's a beautiful amber color. It's such an enjoyable, vibrant, warm, welcoming color to me. Let's see what our power factor is. Oh gosh, it's 0.2. That's abysmal. That is horrid. 0.2. Pfft. That's pathetic. At 48 watts, 1.86 amps with a power factor of 0.22. That's pretty atrocious. It should get a little better as the thing gets up to temperature, but that's just awful. That awesome orange glow is starting to fill the room. There is nothing like high pressure sodium. It is such a nice light. And yes, there is a flicker to it because it's an arc light. So the arc is occurring X number of times per second, which causes the banding on the camera. The light is going to be going at 60 Hertz, whereas the camera is going at 59.94, which is why the line is moving up the screen. Alright, the power factor has increased to 0.37, although that's still pretty poor. 1.64 amps, which is quite a bit less than the 2.1 it climbed, and 73 watts. It really is quite a bit of light for only 73 watts. These are very, very bright fixtures, and I find that the lenses on these things, the optics and the reflector inside, are very good, and these throw light very, very far. I think it's pretty much up to full brightness now. Very bright. And even though it's very bright and it's a very, very powerful light, it's not super blinding. I mean, I wouldn't look right at it, but even though it's a very high intensity, it's not like blinding if it's just like above, if you're walking near it, or if it's above a doorway and you're walking through the doorway. They aren't super blinding, unlike the LED fixtures, which have poor optics and just a terrible glare. I don't think that the camera is accurately capturing the color of this light. It's such a nice, like a really golden color. It's really vibrant. It looks all crummy and washed out on the camera, but in person it's a beautiful gold tone. Our final reading is going to be 1.57 amps. The watts is 76 the watts with a power factor of 0.41, which is pretty abysmal. Alright, I'll zoom this thing in and we can watch it glow down, or whatever that's called, I don't know. Or we can break it. Very cool. So now it is off. It has stopped glowing. And that makes it time to end the video. So we're going to go ahead and put it back in the box now. Or it might be too hot. It's a little bit warm, but not much. Let's see. Now it seems like a perfectly good fixture, but I'll plug that before I turn that back on. It seems like a reasonable fixture aside from the power factor. I have no doubt that this would have been a cheaper fixture back in the day, but I highly doubt that it's sold for anything near as low as I bought it for when it was new. Yeah, it's got some heat in there still, so I guess I'll let it cool off and I'll put it away off camera. So, hope that was an interesting fixture to see. I've got a good number of these in stock, so if I find somewhere to use these, I might put a couple in the back of the house, maybe along the fence, I don't know, I'll do something with them. I've got too many of them to just have them sitting around in a box.